What's up, my good people of the internet? Hope you're having a fantastic week this week. We are here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for you between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time every single Monday through Friday, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to be here in studio with you. Last week we were traveling. We were spending the first part of the week in Dallas, Arlington, Texas area for the American Athletic Conference, the AAC Media Days for football. First time they've done it in 4 years, 2 years due to COVID, then realignment. So once they knew the schools that were leaving and the schools that were coming in, it didn't really make sense for them to have the schools there that were leaving and not have the schools that were coming in. So they waited until the shift officially happened on July 1st of 2023 and then had the event here going into this collegiate football season. So really excited that we had the opportunity to do that, and on July 24th and 25th, and exactly 3 weeks after, well, I should say a little over 3 weeks after, 23 days after the new schools officially joined, those schools being Rice, UAB, UTSA, North Texas, FAU, and UNC Charlotte. So definitely appreciated being down there, and we have plenty of specials coming up for you. You have no idea, folks. I mean, we have so many things that I'm going to be airing over the next week plus, and I'm very excited to be able to do that here and share that with you all around the world, no matter who you're a fan of, if you're just a college football fan in general, or if you're a fan of the show Wake Up Call. I thank you so much for that. After July 24th and 25th at the AAC, went over to the ACC kickoff with the college football institutions with the Atlantic Coast Conference in Charlotte, North Carolina. This marks 10 years for me in covering the AAC and 10 years for me covering the ACC. So going over to the ACC kickoff and having an opportunity to speak with coaches and student athletes, a ton of specials coming from that as well. And Syracuse, so we did all of that last week, which is why we had different specials running, and you didn't see me in my typical 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We started everything at 9 o'clock, but we had different specials going on at different times. And I appreciate you ad-libbing with me while we were traveling. We'll always want to make sure you have new content while I'm on the road. And so came back home, and immediately here we go with camp. Syracuse Orange football camp officially opened yesterday. I was on site on location with head coach Dino Babers. Also had the opportunity to speak with quarterback Garrett Schrader and have an extended conversation with wide receiver, kick returner, punt returner Trevor Pena. So you could see all of those by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. I also, the day before at the introductory press conference of the 2023 college football season for Syracuse, I had the opportunity to speak with Dino again. 3 different questions, so you can go back and watch all those with Dino Babers, and also got to speak with defensive back Justin Barron of Syracuse and wide receiver Damian Alford. So a lot of great content already up there for you. It's on our Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. It's on Twitter at CallDT. It's on Facebook at wakeupcallDT. And of course, it's on youtube.com/wakeupcallDT. So make sure you check out all of our content with Syracuse and everything that's coming up with the AAC and the ACC very soon. With that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. A lot of great stuff coming up here on the show today. Very excited. In less than 20 minutes, I'm going to have the opportunity of welcoming to the broadcast Chris Heidel and Adam Lemerise, who will be joining me here to talk ACC football and the overall college football climate in general. Excited to be doing that with them. And yesterday on the show, I had a good friend of many years, Alex Dodd, rejoin the show, friend of the show, and Dodd joined me here, the sports editor of Rapid City Journal and podcaster himself. He joined me on the broadcast, and we were talking about the college football climate, realignment, are we done, what could the future hold, and we said a lot about Clemson and Florida State in the ACC, and then last night, there were all these things about Clemson and Florida State and changes and what's happening and what's coming and whatnot. So I re-aired the conversation with Alex Dodd as a separate special. I'm going to be sharing that again today because I definitely think y'all should check that out. And because there's a lot of things that we said in the morning, and then last night, late last night, there was a bunch of posts about Clemson and Florida State. So I thought it was all too real here to take a look at that and to see that the conversation we were having in the morning started to filter into last night. And last night, more of this conversation of the ACC changing and Clemson and Florida State leaving. So you definitely want to check that out and don't miss a second of it. Like I said, I'll share it again on all of our social media, as well as it's already up on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and it's airing as its own personal special on our Facebook page as well, where some of you are watching and listening right now. So I appreciate you doing that, and you could definitely check that out. So with that being said, Adam Lemerise as well as Chris Heidel are going to be joining me in just a few here in about 15 minutes. And then in hour number 2, we're going to do our Central and Upstate New York Spotlight. You know that I do these all throughout the year with Central and Upstate New York athletes. I'm going to be doing it tonight with the Liverpool football team. So today's going to be jam-packed of content celebrating Central and Upstate New York. You know how I am here on the show. I love helping out the kids, love helping out the community. No matter what your age is or what you're doing, as long as you're doing it with goodness in your heart and, God at your side. To me, I definitely want to see people succeed, and I want to see things go well. And so it's an honor and a privilege to be able to speak with Mike Washington over the years. And, Mike Washington Jr. coming from Utica, then going to CNS, and after going to CNS, going on to the university at Buffalo and getting on the Bulls team and playing in less than 4 games. So that year didn't have to count. He got to be a redshirt freshman last year and play, because they get to redshirt that initial season for him playing in only 3 games. And then last year he was a leading rusher on the team, leading rushing touchdown getter. And now he goes into this season with 3 more to go and an opportunity to shine even brighter, which I know he will. So Mike Washington Jr., you're going to see that special right here in studio. We're going to be sitting next to each other, having an awesome conversation about God, about faith, about your dreams, about your journey, about his personal quest of where he was and where he is and, where he's going. So a lot of great stuff coming up with Mike Washington Jr. Love spotlighting Central and Upstate New York student athletes and students and people in general. Love my community, and that's why I do it. And tonight we're going to be at Avicoli's, 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, with the Liverpool football team. So the Warriors are going to join me, as they do every single month, at Avicoli's. We'll be there tonight, August 3rd at 6 p.m., taking over the pizza side, sitting down with Coach Joe Sindoni and having a conversation with the student athletes as well. So make sure you come out and hang out with us, but not before seeing Mike Washington's story here this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We appreciate you being here with us, however you're tuning in around the country and the world, on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected with us, thank you so much for being a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back to talk a little bit about what's going on here in the college athletic world. And from here, we'll have Adam Lemerise and Chris Heidel join me to continue that conversation of the craziness of collegiate athletics.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here where sports meets life. And as we're here this morning and just a few minutes away from having Adam Lemerise as well as Chris Heidel join me from HerbFM Sports Radio, definitely looking forward to having them on the show here. Greg said this morning, there's certainly changes on the horizon regarding landscape of college football, ACC and Pac-12. What do you choose, biscuits or cornbread? How about that crazy strikeout last night in the D-backs versus Giants game? Quite the reaction from the D-backs catchers. So, yeah. So, I definitely, listen, there's a lot of things to get into, and it's funny. I mean, we've been talking for 2 years on the show, over 2 years on the show, about what realignment could look like post, Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, we've been talking since, the midst of COVID about what this could be and what this could look like. And here I am this morning looking at things. I mean, last night, I should say, looking at things. And I mean, it's definitely been an interesting road to see, and how fast things happen, how fast things come about here, and that's that's the reality. Just how quickly things can happen. I mean, I'm talking yesterday morning about something I've been talking about for a while, and here's the conversation, going back and forth with Alex Dodd, and last night you see all this Clemson, Florida State stuff. So, it does happen quick. It's sometimes like yesterday, it feels like when I say it, and I put it into when I put it into the air here on the show, and then you look back at it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So, it definitely is something to, I mean, it changes in an instant, and we've been talking about that. We've been talking about how quickly things change, and last night seeing those things and everything that's been going on, I mean, you really it makes you stop and just kind of think to yourself, how quickly everything can kind of come here. So it's definitely leaving us with a very unique day today and a unique next few days, I'm sure. And that's reality here. I'm watching the D-backs Giants highlights here because, Greg was talking about this ending of the game. And so I'm sitting here in the studio while we're talking this morning, watching this highlight. Now the Diamondbacks, I mean, they've led this season for a good portion of it, a good portion of the first half of the season. They've led the NL West, and I've talked about the fact that my Diamondbacks need to be a full season team and not a first half or second half of the season. I got to see them all the way through. And that, hasn't happened in recent history, hence why this team isn't going to the playoffs in recent history. So I'm hoping they could start to figure things out here. Diamondbacks losing the game 4-2. So it's, what are you going to say, Greg? I want my team to get back on the horse and figure this stuff out. Biscuits or cornbread, we will talk with Adam Lemerise as well as Chris Heidel about that when they join me on the show here momentarily. But yeah, last night it was just crazy, like I said, to have that conversation with Alex Dodd and then see last night where we were at with, just kind of checking, getting some work done, and then seeing Clemson and Florida State pop up here on everything, and just where things can be at really quickly and how fast things can happen. So this conference realignment, it really does occur quickly, and it's one of those rapid things where you have a conversation about it like I've had here for a while on the show and many months, and then all of a sudden, you look at something and say, oh, okay, is it going to happen right now? Did it happen 5 minutes ago? Is it going to happen, 15 minutes from now? So, this college football realignment, this college realignment in general continues to rear its head, and we'll see. We'll definitely see. And there's a lot of things that have been written about this, and there's ACC rumors out there that we could see Clemson and Florida State heading to the Big Ten. And if they head to the Big Ten, then that would put us in a situation where I think the Big Ten would be enticing for the SEC to take with them in this new league that I think they're going to be forming. So, we'll see. And then, you talk, it's just weird to see all this stuff being written. And it's like, yeah, we've talked about this on the show for a couple of years now. Obviously Miami, because I've said I think Clemson, Florida State, and Miami are going to go somewhere together. And if they could bring something, is Florida State going to stay in the ACC? Some people are writing, is it the Big Ten or the SEC? Is it one or the other? There's go. So the Board of Trustees called a meeting that took place when you talk about Florida State. And, we could see something happening here. So it says the timing of things coming on here. If you're looking to depart within the next year, you would need to do so by August 15th. So that clock is ticking here, and we'll see what's going to happen. We're definitely going to be joined by Adam Lemerise and Chris Heidel of HerbFM Sports Radio to discuss where we're at right now as the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC all try. The SEC is already there, but the Big 10 and the Big 12 trying to make themselves look, I think, attractive enough for the SEC to take them with them in whatever's going to be the new top tier of college football. And Florida State and Clemson are going to help that. Now, without Florida State and Clemson inside of the ACC, folks, I definitely do not believe that the ACC can hold any weight in college football without those two teams. They're the two teams picked to be at the top of the division this year for a reason, or top of the conference, I should say. There are no more divisions in the ACC. So they're the two teams at the top right now. Clemson is your darling. Florida State is your up-and-comer. And how sad is that? If Florida State were to leave right now, and you look at how everything's been, Florida State hasn't been where people wanted them to be. They haven't been doing the things that, the fan base, and the fan base wanting to win a championship. Everybody wants to win a championship every single year. But, things didn't work out, right? And I think Jimbo Fisher saw the writing on the wall in certain instances, maybe with what was going on with the team. And, I definitely think that, we're in a place right now where things have gotten to a very unique stance in college football. And I think with Florida State playing potentially so well this season and Mike Norvell coming through, as I said that he would, covering him at Memphis, I told Florida State fans, give him some time. And Papa Joe and I spoke about it and here on the show, and we both agreed, you give this guy 3 years at Florida State, don't worry, things are going to be fine. And I think that's where we're heading. I think we're heading to a place where Florida State is finally getting there. And as they finally are getting there, if they were to leave right now, that would be a giant slap in the face of the ACC, who's been dealing with a Florida State that's been subpar over these last few years. So we'll see what's happening as Florida State's Board of Trustees meeting has allegedly gone on, and we'll see what's going to go on from here. I think the Big Ten and the SEC are looking to expand. I think the Big 12 is as well. And we're going to be discussing that with Chris Heidel and Adam Lemerise of the HerbFM Sports Radio. And so I'm going to bring the gentlemen on here and get them set, because I definitely want to have this conversation with them and to get into where we're at this morning. I mean, I want to say I can't believe where we're at this morning, but I can believe where we're at this morning because we have been here many times, and in the last 10 years, the conversation of realignment, but the continuation of where things have kind of been set up here when it comes to conference realignment. I think the reality that we're living in right now is that college football and collegiate athletics in general is in a place where we don't really know until we know, but things staying the same, I don't see that happening. Gentlemen, how are we doing this morning?
Well, we're doing good, Dan. Thanks for having me on. This is an honor.
Absolutely, and happy to have you guys here. Well, I was saying yesterday, Alex Dodd was on the show, and him and I were talking about Clemson, Florida State, Miami, the grant of rights, and the ACC, the fact that things could change. Last night, and getting work done, it's around midnight. Clemson and Florida State are being brought up on social media. People are talking Big Ten and SEC. Chris, I'll start with you. What do you think about the Clemson, Florida State, Miami conversation, and will the ACC be able to withstand this one?
Well, I think the ACC needs to work on it. It looks like Florida State is getting cheap, and Clemson is getting cheated out of money.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with John Swalfer when he made this deal with the ESPN, 4 or 5 years ago before he retired. And I feel like Commissioner Phillips is stuck in the crossfire because he wasn't part of this whole deal, so he's trying to figure out what to do. And he's still a young commissioner, technically he is, and he's trying to control the fire instead of it's going to explode. And I understand Florida State. They deserve better. Clemson deserves better, and Miami. Miami's not Miami from old. It's not like you're bringing the 1991 Hurricanes who just won a national title, who had 47 wins at home, and calls Brian Bosworth up like it's 2 a.m. and say, "Hey, we're coming for you." This is not the Miami. I feel like if they have to move to the Big Ten, Adam and I were talking about this, and we had Danielle Gillian on from Tallahassee. She's a weatherist. She has her own sports show down there. We were talking to her. And I said, if they move to the Big Ten, I'll go to the Big Ten because I think it'll be nice because I already know Maryland. Maryland is the only team that Florida State played at more than anybody else in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Florida
State is 21-2. Adam and I we found some research the other night. They played Nebraska 6 times, and Florida State has a 3-2 advantage. The only teams they haven't played is Iowa, Northwestern, Illinois, Minnesota. Who wants to go to Minnesota in November? Not me.
Not me.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah. Do that a September game.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But, I went to Maryland Media Day yesterday for football, and I was talking to one of the local media guys, and they're like, what do you think about Florida State? I'm like, well, if they come, it's going to be very good for the conference because you got the old ACC back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you have this great deal that the commissioner of the Big Ten, who now is working with the Bears, made with NBC and CBS, and and to say we got prime time here on NBC, and then CBS will have it next year on CBS. And I think that's what's bringing people to the Big Ten because of that great contract they did with both networks. And the ACC doesn't have that with the ESPN. ESPN is falling apart right now to the point it's like they're trying to look for Disney or whoever to help bail them out.
Well, I mean, the reality of it all is, I mean, you spend a lot of money, right? When Disney takes over ESPN, they spend a lot, they buy a lot of, they're buying NFL games, they're getting Monday Night Football, They're doing a lot of different things with the NBA. They put a lot of money out there, and you could see what they're doing here when it comes to talent, right? They've had let's say two massive firings, and they had another firing recently. I think we've seen over 400 people let go, and it's been the best of the best at ESPN. It's not, I mean, Berman at one point was let go. Dan Patrick hasn't been there in a long time. Colin Cowherd isn't there. We saw Mike and Mike dissolve. It's not even about talent. It's about saving money. And when it comes down to something like that, when you're willing to let go of talent just to save money, it usually bites you in the butt. And I think that, ESPN and all these deals they've been having, I mean, you look at it, there are conferences that benefit. The American Athletic Conference benefits from the fact that the SEC and the Big Ten are doing other things. Because they're doing other things, that's allowing the American to come in and get that TV coverage. So, it is helping out the American Athletic. But, Adam, I want to go to you about this. The ACC, I've been talking about for the last couple of years what I thought could potentially happen and what I could see happening in the SEC. I've spent many months talking about the Clemson, Florida State to the SEC and the ACC being in a place right now which is, to me, nothing's happening, but that doesn't mean that nothing's happening, is kind of how I look at it. So how do you take the ACC right now?
Well, I think, it's all about money. You think about, you guys brought up this new TV package with the Big Ten. You have NBC, CBS. You have Peacock, which is an exclusive. And to me, it's called, if Clemson and Florida State were to leave, I think it would be hard to replace those two schools. You think about the history of those two schools, what they've done in the ACC.
Yeah.
How good Florida State has been in the ACC over the years. Going back to when Bobby Bowden was head coach. And then you had Jimbo Fisher. So in Clemson, you had, we couldn't forget the history of Clemson football. You had Ken Atfield. You had Danny Ford, who was a great head coach there. Think about the talent that's come through both schools, and if they were to leave, it'd be hard to replace those two schools. And take a look about the Pac-12. Look what you have USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. There have been talks about maybe Arizona State, Utah, the Big 12. Colorado's coming back next year. I've seen things that maybe Oregon's. I've seen things like maybe Oregon State and Washington State go to the Mountain West. We've talked about super conferences, and people have talked about it, for a long time. I think what's the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see super conferences.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's funny how when we look at how things were, right, and people say super conferences, back in the day when conferences used to be about geography and there was, 4 major conferences, 4 major areas, and you see these super conferences dissolve into, or break apart, I should say, into all these other conferences, these new pieces. And over time, we got away from the mega. It was too much. It was too big. There was too many things going on. And so we didn't want to have it. We didn't like it. So we break away. We form all these other conferences because the SoCon, that's over 100 years old, the SoCon used to have all these big teams. And now those teams have gone to the SEC, they've gone to the ACC, and so on and so forth. So when you look at the history of what collegiate athletics was, we went from mega, we broke apart into all these pieces. When it comes to basketball in Division I, 32 different conferences, and now we're going back to this world of mega conferences. You look at the American Athletic has 14 football, 15 overall. You look at the ACC, 14 football, 15 overall. The Sun Belt's getting bigger. The SEC is going to 16.
Yes.
The Big 10
Yes.
is going to 16. We look at the Big 12 is now going to be at 13 at least. So I think we're heading there. I think we're close. I think that this could be I think there's a few things that can happen that I've been talking about for a while. I think the SEC is going to get to 18, if not 20. I think if they go to 20, they're forming their own league. But I think they're going to at least get to 18. And I think that I honestly think some people might think I'm crazy, but geographically it makes sense. You brought some stuff up with this, Adam, naming some of these schools, but I think the Pac's best way of staying alive is to merge with the Mountain West, and they'll have at least 20 teams. And if they merge now, they'll actually take over the media for a little while, nationally and internationally, as the first conference to get to 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree. And I feel like when you talk about the Pac-12, I was talking to Adam and I've been talking to other people. I think people in the Mountain West should move to the Pac-12 because you got Hawaii. They have to travel to Boise, Idaho. Okay, I went to Hawaii. That's 10 hours on a plane trip. I don't know how long is it from Hawaii to Boise, Idaho, but if they go to the Pac-12, they don't have to worry about a long distance trip. They can go right to California. Boom, you're good.
Yeah,
you're there. Or Oregon, or boom, right? You're right on the West Coast. You don't have to go into inland to go to Boise State or Iowa or Idaho or whoever's playing in the Mountain West. Even San Diego State's the only one closer to where they are. But like back to what Adam's saying, the only reason why all these teams are want to go to these super conferences, like we were talking about years ago, Adam and Dan, Florida State was not in the ACC for football. They were in a conference called the Metro Conference.
I remember that, Chris. Yes, I remember.
And I think, Dan, you probably remember, Metro had Syracuse in there for a while until they went to the Big East, right?
Well,
for football.
Well, and that's the thing. Syracuse spent time in independence. Syracuse was an independent. There was a time, and there is an argument that I've brought up before, that none of this would happen if back in the day the Big East in its creation had got Penn State and Notre Dame. There's an argument that if the Big East had Penn State, Notre Dame, Syracuse, Pitt, so on and so forth, there's an argument that if Miami had come in, they would have never left. There's the argument that the Big Ten wouldn't be expanding right now, that Syracuse would not have to join the ACC. So, it's funny how they say that if one move in history was changed, if one butterfly was killed, 1,000 years ago, that it could affect everybody's life. If Abraham Lincoln wasn't assassinated, that your life would be different, my life. It's crazy to think that could be the case. But when you take that argument and you say, if one thing could change everything, if the Big East had Penn State and Notre Dame, the Big Ten's not as powerful. The Big East still exists. The ACC doesn't get some of those expansion teams. And what are we looking at right now?
Right.
So,
and also, do you realize, Adam and Dan, Temple was in one of the conferences and told them to get out because they stunk?
Yeah, Temple was in the Big East, and they were asked to leave.
Yeah, they asked to leave nicely.
And then ironically, they were invited back in by the same conference that asked them to leave, and then that conference ended up dissolving, and the American was born out of it, which Temple was one of the 4 schools to start the American, with UConn, South Florida, and Cincinnati at the time, believe it or not. So
about this, guys.
Yeah, so I guess the thing here, and Adam, I'll go to you for this. Do you think that the ACC is going to lose schools? I mean, is this an inevitable thing? Can it be stopped? What are your thoughts?
Well, if the ACC loses Clemson and Florida State, it's going to be hard to replace those two. Like I said, in going back to Hawaii, Hawaii plays football in that West Conference. All the other sports that they've got are in the Big West Conference. So it's like you have some pretty quality teams in Big West Conference. So if Hawaii would want to go, the Pac-12, they have to take all of their basically move from the Mountain West, move from Big West to the Pac-12. So And if the ACC loses schools, think about the fan base.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be kind of weird to see Florida State and Miami start the year and, non-conference. I mean, yeah, they used to do it, but I think I don't think it would look good.
No, and the thing is who do you go after? You know what I mean? That who can the ACC go after? Because when you look at this autonomy group of the ACC, the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the Pac-12, they've either been stolen from or they're stealing from each other. They're either taking or being taken from. In some cases, both. The Big 12. And I said this last year going into ACC kickoff, and the sad thing is the ACC hasn't made any moves, so I had to say the same thing a year later. The worst action is inaction, and their inaction, I think, is a giant party foul. They didn't go after UCF. I don't want to see the American lose anybody, but if it was going to happen, go after UCF. Get another Florida school. Now you got Orlando, Tallahassee, and Miami. You have North, Central, and South Florida. I mean, that would have been huge, I think, for the ACC. It would have been huge for their market. It would have been huge for events in the future. And there's certain things that they haven't done. Now, I haven't aired my conversation with the commissioner, which I will be doing here in the coming days, but I asked him about that. I asked him about expansion, and I asked him about expansion last year. And the fact that the ACC is doing nothing right now when it comes to expansion, I think it's only a matter of time before somebody sinks their teeth into them. And we hear about this grant of rights, but if they open up their TV deal, there's a chance that this thing could dissolve. If 8 out of the 15 schools say we don't want to be here, there's a chance they can dissolve it. Or Clemson and Florida State can just walk away. Miami could just walk away and say, sue us. And what, you're going to be in court for the next 8 years? And does the ACC have the money to fight those schools? I mean, what it really comes down to is if they want to break this contract, they could break the contract and then just go to court about it. And I mean, I think, and what did Mac Brown say of North Carolina? And this really hit when I asked him that question about what's the state of the ACC. He said multiple times, we need more money. We have to find ways to make more money. We have to generate more money. He was clear to the conference, where's the money at? And I think Clemson and Florida State have a case of saying that there needs to be a revenue share where there's percentages going to different places. Because Clemson and Florida State, they deserve the lion's share of the ACC. If we're looking at basketball, you have to look at Duke and North Carolina. But giving everybody the same amount of money doesn't make sense. Rutgers and Maryland, when they came in, they were not making what Penn State and these other schools are making, and they shouldn't because they're bottom feeders. I mean, I'm going to be honest, Syracuse is my hometown, but Syracuse should be making 1/10 of what Clemson's making because Syracuse is not bringing the value that Clemson's bringing. Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, like if Clemson and Florida State bolt to the Big Ten, what about who's going to replace them? And I feel like they could replace some teams in the Commonwealth of Virginia. You got James Madison. Okay, they're pretty good. They're in the South in the Sun Belt. I've seen them a lot in the CAA, and yes, they had it down years like everybody else does. But you could bring in a JMU to fill that void, and then maybe a Liberty probably to fill that void, and then you have everybody in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And Commonwealth of Virginia is a great hotbed for high school football and everything else in college. And you got basically the ACC has still the tobacco road because all those teams still have to go to North Carolina. So you're basically making the ACC strictly Virginia and North Carolina, and down in South. And if Clemson goes, there's no more South Carolina. So that's going. And then you just have the map will just look a little weird, but you have more teams in Virginia. And I feel like James Madison may want to go in the future, boost up from the Sun Belt to maybe to a bit better Power 5 conference. But right now, they're trying to get their feet wet in Division I football.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that could make sense, honestly, from the Sun Belt to the ACC is Coastal Carolina.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one, then. Yeah.
That could actually make some sense. But because we're getting questions coming in here about what about rating the American Athletic. I'm hoping in my coverage of the American, since they're instant before they even had a logo, I would say that I would anticipate their parameters are better now. Their fencing around the conference, their fortress is a little bit stronger. Bringing these schools in, it doesn't make sense for the ACC to go after the Texas schools, and I don't think there's certain schools I don't think that they would go after. I don't think ACC would go after UNC Charlotte. I don't think they would go after East Carolina. So I mean, the ACC, what they need to do is they need to be on the offensive. They should have went after the Big 12 when Oklahoma and Texas were taken out of there. They should have went after those teams. Honestly, what I think they should have done, and I said it many months ago, if not half a year or so ago, they should have gone after West Virginia, the Big 12, and they should have taken Maryland back to the ACC. If they had done that, they would have been in the news for a positive reason. The ACC isn't moving. They're not doing anything. And that inaction, the fact that I had to come to the ACC kickoff and have the same question on my mind 2 years in a row, that is ridiculous that 365 days passed and I was still wondering what the plan was. That's what I think is the problem with the ACC right now. They have to be advantageous because they used to be, the number 2 conference, the number 3 conference. Now, they got to thank the Pac-12 because if not for the Pac-12, the ACC would be last in the autonomy conferences.
Yeah, and I agree with Maryland going back to the ACC because I was just there yesterday for media day, and there is nothing in that football stadium of a Big Ten. It's all ACC.
Yeah.
Like they're out there, their center they have, lift weights where the players do their, the workouts, and they have on the outside of the wall where the stadium goes, ACC champs. It's still, if you go to a Maryland basketball game, Dan and Adam, they still talk about how great Maryland basketball was back in the 70s. They weren't even in the Big Ten in the 70s. They're in the ACC, so go back home. I'm thinking they should do is, if they want to be in basketball, Dan, stay in the Big Ten because the Big Ten is a great basketball conference. Okay, yes, you got Ohio State, Michigan, everybody else. But if you want for football, I feel like Maryland is trying to play catch up ever since they got there.
Yep.
And I don't think they have the horsepower to play against Michigan or Ohio State, Penn State. Penn State just whooped them last year 30-0 in Happy Valley. It's like, and they have and Maryland has a great quarterback. The kid who's his brother's down in Miami, number 3. I can't say his name. It's a long name. I can't get it. I just call him number 3 from Maryland. And I feel like he has a lot of pressure on himself because he's basically trying to save a football program that's been really been middle of the road ever since they went to the Big Ten.
I'll agree, Chris. And I can remember going back to the days when Maryland was in the ACC. You think about the rivalries. You had North Carolina, Maryland. You had Maryland and Duke. You had, those are rivalries that people still have memories of the 70s, 80s, 90s. You think about all the great you think about all the great players that were at Maryland. You think about, and that you think about when Christian Laettner was at Duke. You think about when you had all the great rivalries. Like I said, it's I think Maryland should go back to the ACC. To me, they're not Big Ten material. They're ACC material, and it's called. I know it.
And I think
Big Ten, it doesn't fit for me.
No. Yeah, and I think Rutgers should go out of the Big Ten and go to American because I feel that's more of Rutgers' playing field.
I'll agree.
No offense to American, they have great teams, but Rutgers can't compete in the Big Ten. Every year, 1-7, they can't even get to. They went to a bowl game because somebody needed them to fill in for a sick Texas A&M squad that had COVID.
Yeah. True.
Yeah,
I can remember. I remember when Rutgers was in. I can remember when Rutgers was in the
Big East
Conference, and they had Ray Lucas was their quarterback at Rutgers, and I can remember. To me, Rutgers in the American Maryland in the ACC. It fits.
Yeah,
It fits.
I mean, I think the ACC, if they were to make a move now and they were to look at expansion, West Virginia, Maryland, Coastal Carolina, those are the ones that I would think if they want to actually do something that makes sense, that's what you do. You got Syracuse, West Virginia, you got Pitt, West Virginia, and then you bring in Coastal Carolina, and it's good for the Carolinas, and it puts you on the beach, and it gives you some nice scenery, and so
yes,
I think that the ACC, like I thought last year, needs to be advantageous. They need to be on the offensive. They're playing defense right now, as Alex Dodd said yesterday too, and it's come to the point where the worst action is inaction is a thing that I have said over and over again, but yet here we are sitting in this inaction place of no moves, and they're going to have to do something. It's going to have to be swift. They're going to have to figure this out, because I can't believe that the ACC is not making money charging everybody for the ACC network and nobody in Syracuse can watch a dang Syracuse basketball or football game. So, I mean, obviously they're making money. It's going somewhere. I mean, this ACC network is costing all these fans that used to watch the games on 3, 5, and 9 basic cable. So, I don't know what's going on, but the plan needs to be fixed. Something needs to go down here. It needs to happen quickly, because Clemson, Florida State, I don't agree with the Big Ten. I think they're going to the SEC. But Clemson, Florida State, Miami, maybe Louisville, there's something to be said about the SEC. I think they want 4 more, in my opinion. And once they get those 4, it's done. If Clemson and Florida State leave the ACC, their football drops exponentially. Right. And that's no disrespect to Wake Forest, and it's no disrespect to what Duke is doing, and it's no disrespect to Mac Brown and UNC. It's just the reality of they don't have their darlings anymore. It's like the Big 12 losing Oklahoma and Texas. If you lose your identity, what do you have? So if they need to be making they need to be making sure that these institutions are happy. And if they're not happy, then they need to fix it.
Can I chime in real quick, Dan? I think if you bring Maryland back in, they had a bad fallout with the ACC. It's like an old girlfriend. You gotta butter them up a little bit. Cater to them. Say I'm sorry. Because I heard stories here in Maryland that the athletic director Anderson, John Swalper was his best friend, and when Maryland moved to the Big Ten, John Swalper stopped talking to him, and
it's crazy.
He got lost. Yeah. So if you're Maryland, if you want to go back to the ACC, you need to be catered, buttered up, patted down, saying, "I'm sorry for calling you names, please come back, because they are original members of the ACC back when it first came in 1953, and and I feel like the state loves the ACC. They try to put on a face like, oh, we're Big Ten, we love Big Ten football. Not really. I feel like everybody still think they're still trying to watch. They're still trying to remember Boomer Esiason going down the field throwing a touchdown pass against Clemson to beat them in 1983 or 84, or Frank Wright beating Miami down in the Orange Bowl.
I'll about to go there, Chris. Yes.
Yeah, but this state I live in, I feel like they want to go back to the ACC, but they were treated the wrong way. What Florida State and Clemson is being treated like today, and that stuff needs to stop, because you're going to lose another great member. And I know Florida State's not a flagship school. Came in 1991. We dominated football until Virginia figured out how to beat us in 1995. And that fumble by, I think it was Warwick Dunn fumbled at the 1-yard line down in Charlottesville. But after that, Clemson, they've been part of this ACC for a long time, and they haven't won titles until Dabo Swinney showed up, and now Dabo is turning them into a powerhouse. And they have the facilities now. I heard they have a great bowling alley. I want to go down to Clemson and bowl with Dabo and see if I could have a stepladder final down there. I heard they have great facilities.
I'll join you.
Yeah, I know Adam wants to join.
So we did get one question that came in here. Final note here, Adam and then Chris. We got the biscuits versus cornbread. We were all down in Charlotte recently here. So Adam, what would you choose, biscuits or cornbread?
Cornbread.
Cornbread, okay. Chris?
I like both, but I like a biscuit.
I'm gonna break the tie.
Hey, Chris,
I'm breaking the tie. It's
don't forget it. I mean, if you come to the South, if you want good biscuits, you gotta go to Bojangles.
Oh yeah, you got to go to Bojangles. You got to. That's a statement down in Charlotte. You got to stop it. You got to bow time. We need one up here in Maryland. I heard we're getting 2 of them up here and somewhere around our neck of the woods. I'll be over there every week, pretty much.
Bojangles and Zaxby's down in the South. I'm gonna break the tie and say cornbread because I love a good cornbread. So with that being said, for Adam Lemerise as well as Chris Heidel of HerbFM Sports Radio. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining the show today. Thank you for talking some ACC and college football climate with me, and I look forward to having you guys back on soon.
Yeah, we'll see you next Thursday, right? We'll see you next Thursday.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we'll have an opportunity to talk. We'll keep the conversation rocking.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, have a great weekend, buddy.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
All right,
see you. I'm off to work.
Yeah, have a good day at work.
See you.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.
I'll see you guys.
See you later. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here, hanging out with us in that conversation with Chris Heidel, as well as Adam Lemerise of HerbFM Sports Radio. Having the opportunity today to talk ACC, and you think, you're going to sit here and talk about, the ACC football season and the standings and where do we think things are going, but it's been this situation of, and I sound like a broken record, but it's true, and I've said it over and over again because it's true. The worst action is inaction when it comes to the ACC. This failure to launch here, any type of expansion plan is not working in their favor, and something needs to be done, and it needs to be done swiftly. And I don't know what they're going to do if they don't start making some moves and start getting some things set here. It has been a rough go of seeing conference realignment and the ACC not being involved, and you don't want to be poached from. So you got to strengthen your conference. I thought their deal was better than the Americans' deal, better than this, better than that, but right? That's what they said. They said this deal is great, that deal is great, and ESPN is a partner, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Well, obviously, what's going on in the Big 12, what's going on in the Big 10, and the SEC has caught the eyes of the ACC, and something needs to be done. And they can't just sit here and wait to see what happens, right? You got to play offense. You got to be willing to score. Great defense can win championships, but you gotta score the ball yourself too. So, we've been seeing the ACC play prevent D, but are they trying to get in the end zone as well? That's a question that's left to be seen. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll come back with Mike Washington Jr. in our Central and Upstate New York spotlight right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Cornbread wins the morning here on Wake Up Call. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. What's up, everybody, and welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're hanging out inside of where sports meets life, and I am sitting here in studio with a good friend of mine, somebody I've known for a minute here, from CNS days to UB days. That is Mike Washington Jr., running back for the University at Buffalo for the Bulls, yes, going into being a sophomore on the field with 3 seasons to go. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Doing very good, man. So you're getting old on me. I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it. You got the goatee growing out now. Everything. How you been?
I've been good.
Been doing all right?
Yes, sir. Just getting ready for the season. We start camp in a couple of days, so just getting ready for the season. Make sure my body's intact. To take the blows and hits throughout the duration of the season.
What is it about kind of your regimen? Like what are the things that you do that you've maybe seen work for you? Like you said, getting your body right. What's the path that you take? Do you have certain things that you do every time?
So one thing that I know my body likes is sleep. As cliche as it sounds, like without any sleep, for me at least, I know every athlete is different. But without any sleep on my part, like I can't perform the way I want to.
Right.
And the same thing with my meals. I have to make sure I eat a certain amount of meals a day, because if I don't, I'm not going to hit the certain weight I want to hit, and I'm not going to be able to, push the weight that I want to push,
Yeah.
when it comes to being in the weight room and all that. So it's really like I kind of do it in a strategic way where I make sure, I make sure I eat my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then I try to sneak in 2 more meals a day. And then when it comes to sleep, I try to make sure I hit, 7 to 9 hours of sleep a day, because if I don't, I won't be able to perform the best I can.
You talk about that importance of sleep,
Yeah.
for your body, and really, I mean, for anybody.
Yeah.
It's amazing because I could talk about it from, the personal side of it when it comes to my career and going to bed at 3 o'clock and having to get up at 8 and this and that.
Yeah.
My allergies,
Mm.
my like literally everything, anything about that's going on with your body
Mm.
without sleep, your mind, your ability to think clearly, your focus with your eyes, like literally everything gets affected
Yeah.
by a lack of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 to 9 hours that you say you need,
Yeah.
which is literally, I mean, that's a good average, right? To
Yeah.
try and get 8 hours of sleep a night.
Mm.
So for you, when you don't get that,
Mhm.
what do you feel like happens? Like, how do you kind of not
I feel
be yourself?
So it's like I kind of feel it just feels like I can't perform. I've even, during practice, like it was one time where I got like 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And compared to a day where I got 9 hours of sleep, it was a dramatic change. You know what I mean? And I was like, I literally told myself, yeah, I can't do this again. Like I have to make sure I get my hours of sleep, because if I don't, I'm gonna feel groggy. I'm gonna feel like I can't um I can't see. I don't know. It's different, right? Like I said, it's different for every athlete.
Yeah.
Like me, when I don't have the amount of hours that I need, I can't run the ball the way I want to. My legs feel tired. My legs is the first thing that go when I don't get sleep.
Yeah.
My knees feel achy. Like my body feel achy. Like everything is just feels off.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can 100% understand it, except for, I mean, you're dealing with it in a different way, right?
Yeah.
Though, because you're on the field,
Yeah.
like I'm feeling it like sitting in the chair. I'm feeling it like getting up and walking, but your body gets tight
Yeah.
and it just gets uncomfortable. So what's the thing that fights your sleep? Is there a TV show? Is there music? Is there something where it's like you're about to go to bed
Mm.
and there's that like thing that you have to watch or you have to see? Like, what's that guilty pleasure you have to go, no, Mike, I'm not going to do that?
I feel like sometimes it's more so like, so we have different like days where we do things. Sometimes we have to come in earlier, sometimes we have to come in later.
Yeah.
Especially like in the summer, it's not really set to, like, we have more freedom in the summer.
Yeah.
So we have more time to do things.
Right.
So I might be, hanging out at a friend's house for, later in the day or something like that. And it goes into being up late and all that. So I feel like that's sometimes that can hold me back. Or, I'm a video game guy, so I play video games. I don't know if you guys play Call of Duty Warzone, but I'm big on that.
Okay.
So yeah, like I'll be up on the game, and but that's really the fight right there.
Yeah, you say that you're a big gamer, Call of Duty. Are there other games that you get into?
Yeah, I play 2K, the basketball game, NBA 2K.
Okay.
It's just more so 2K and Call of Duty, and then some of the free roll games out there like Star Wars, God of War, some games like that, story mode games.
Do you have somebody on the team that you think is good to go up against? Do you have someone that can challenge you well on the team?
We normally don't go against each other. We normally play with each other.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a set of people that's really good on the team that we all play together.
Who's give me some of the guys that you think like, hey, if I'm going to play this game, we're going to do multiplayer, this is my squad.
Yeah.
Who are some of those guys?
Probably one of my we got a D tackle, Jamori Cord, a wide receiver named Booby Curry, Marlon Johnson, one of my boys named DJ. He's a wide receiver. It's a bunch of people. Mason, he's a quarterback. It's a bunch of people.
So for you here with Mike Washington Jr. on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, as we do the Central New York, Upstate New York Spotlight Special. For you, Mike, you had an interesting road, right? Because you had the opportunity to try and, figure out where you were going to make sense, where you're going to go. You had decided on UB. You kind of danced with the transfer portal a little bit and then ultimately decided to come back. There was a staff change amidst everything. Hindsight 2020, are you happy that you stayed at University of Buffalo.
Yes, I'm happy. Like at the end of the day, when it boils down to, everything, I kept God, right front and center. So, whatever decision that I made, whether it was leaving or whether it was staying, he was there, you know what I mean? And I felt, it's not any feeling at all. This is what he did. He guided me through the transfer portal. He guided me through, the critics and everybody saying, oh, I shouldn't leave and I shouldn't do this. And why did he come back if he was going to, like, he guided me through all of that. And I was able to get through the midst of all that. And now I'm in a better place now. And I'm happy about the season and what's to come.
You talk about God and you talk about faith, and that's always something that on Wake Up Call, anything I do, I mean, I'm very open about it because I love God more than anything. When you have God in your life and you have that center for you, I mean, you could tell me what you think about this. I don't understand how people can live without knowing their maker, without knowing their savior, without knowing their spirit. I mean, how do you reset without God? How do you understand without God? How do you go through adversity without God? How do you know if you're on the right path without God? So just to go into that a little bit deeper, how, faith and God have guided you.
It's a tough topic to speak on, because I feel like, the world today is just, everything is sensitive, you know what I mean? But for me personally, I know how I came up and I know who has helped me supernaturally and physically. On the supernatural side, God, he has always been there.
Yeah.
And he has been there through the blood, sweat, and tears. It was never just me. Everybody say, they did it all by themselves and they never had help. And it's just like, I would never say that. I feel like it is bashful to God, because I know at the end of the day, he has helped me, a lump sum. Like, he has helped me a lot. And, it was nice where I would cry to him and, didn't think he was answering my prayers, but a year, 2 years down the line, big things happen. You know what I mean? And I get offers and, I go to college and now I'm working on getting my bachelor's. And now after I've been working on getting my bachelor's, I'm working on getting my master's, things of that nature.
When you say we live in a world where it doesn't seem as easy or as welcome to talk about God, why do you choose to talk about God in a world that doesn't want you to?
If you go back in time, the same thing, happened to Jesus. There was a world where nobody wanted him to talk about the maker.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted him to, if you talk, you have a lot more freedom now, but Jesus, and I'm not trying to compare myself to Jesus, but it's just as a follower, and his disciples, that's everything that they went through, so it's something that I'm expected to go through in a life where, or in a world where there's not nobody, but in a world where, people are sensitive to the topic and, they're doing their own thing.
That's the promise of persecution, right?
Yeah.
They say that, you can't promise anything when you follow Jesus, except for the fact that you will be persecuted, you will be yelled at, stoned, whatever it may be. But there's that reality that if you go in the right direction, it may not always feel like the right direction. How do you know you're a running back? So how do you know you're going in the right direction on and off the field? How do you know you're in the right direction when there are people telling you you're not?
It's keeping a close relationship with God. Asking him to give me, good intuition, being able to see through things, and then, getting good feedback from family members and coaches. I feel like that's what's, aside from God, those are the pieces that has really guided me to, knowing what I've been doing right, what I've been doing wrong. It's not bad to listen to other people. You know what I mean? Like I said, you can't do everything by yourself. I would say I'm my biggest critic, but I still listen to other people. Like, I still take in and try to take in as much, be a sponge, try to take in as much information that I can as possible.
Yeah. And, like you said, you hear all these voices and you ask God to help you to know which voices are from him and which are not.
Yeah, discernment.
Yeah. So Mike Washington Jr. spreading a lot of knowledge and wisdom here today. Sure. I appreciate it, man. Very much so. So let's get into the football side of things. You're at UB. you had a freshman season, a redshirt freshman season, because you only appeared in 3 games in your freshman season. And there's that new rule over the last few years in Division 1A FBS that if you're in 4 games or less, that's not going to count. So you have 3 more seasons on the field. And, we look at kind of what you did before you got to the field at the University of Buffalo in Central New York at CNS, all state honors, 1,423 rushing yards in a single season, 15 touchdowns in that season, your junior season. Defense, you had 31 tackles, 3 interceptions in that season. And you end up being MVP of the regional championship game and all CNY. Bring me into your time at CNS and then into that season, because I don't care if you're in Pop Warner, high school, college, pro, it is really hard to get 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns in one season.
So I'm not originally for people who don't know, I'm not originally from Syracuse. I'm from
Utica.
I'm from Utica, New York. So before coming to CNS, I was playing football in Utica. So my parents, they were looking for a house to live in that wasn't in Utica. They just wanted to move to a different area, and Syracuse was the place. So in the beginning of the school year, that's what they did. They moved out to Syracuse, and I stayed in Utica, in the Utica school district, while my sisters, they went to the North Syracuse City School District. And the only reason why I stayed in the Utica School District was because I wanted to finish the football season. So after finishing the football season around November, I had transferred to CNS, and nobody recruited me. Nobody was on my line saying, "Oh, you need to come here," and blah, blah, blah. Like, that wasn't the case at all. My mom, she's good. She's actually, a professor herself, and she wants, before anything, is education first. So she's seen that, CNS and North Syracuse School District was one of the best when it came to education wise. In the football, that was just a plus. So after the football season in Utica, coming out to CNS and Syracuse, and building relationships with the coaching staff, and starting a workout regimen with the trainer Pete Moore. I stayed with him for about a year, and I just trained from November all the way up until the beginning of the football season 2019. And this is why I say, like, I'm big on being spiritual. I'm being a Christian myself, because without God, none of the stats and accolades that you name would have happened. It was so many nights where I cried and I prayed, just give me one chance. Like, I just need one chance. That's all. And some people ask for the chance, but they don't work towards it. I asked for the chance, and I worked towards it daily, nightly. It was nice where, I went to sleep just dreaming of becoming like the top prospect in New York, becoming a D1 athlete, aspirations of going into the NFL. Like, I did that nightly, like it was something I manifested, you know what I mean? And that's why I say, like, I kept God number one, and all I did was asking for a chance, and I worked towards it. And, when that season came, God did his thing with me.
I mean, you talk about it, you ask God for a chance, but then you don't sit on the couch. Like, you have to work toward it. You can't do it without God. And I think a lot of people that don't believe, they think they did it on their own. I mean, I remember I dated somebody, and she said to me one time, she goes, "Why do you give God all the credit?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You did all this. You started your business. You did that. You did all these things. Like, take the credit for yourself and be proud of yourself. Like, why would you give it to God?" And I said, "Listen, I do work. And obviously I don't sit on the couch. If I want something, I go after it. I say, God, this is what I want, but then I'm going to work toward it." But I told her, I said, I give him all the credit, because there's, look at the people that I work with who guided me to those people. Look at the opportunity, look at the ideas that I came up with, the acronym LEAD that we do with Chick-fil-A, learn, evolve, ad lib, and deliver. That was an idea that came to me in 2019, right before COVID, when we needed to learn, evolve, ad lib, and deliver. And so, when she said, give yourself the credit, you had the ideas, you did the work. It was like, I had the ideas and I did the work, but somebody was guiding my path. Somebody was putting me in touch. You don't just accidentally get in front of the right people 20 times. That's not how it happens. I mean, I don't go to LaGuardia Airport, any airport in the world, but of any airport in the world, of any gate of any airline, I bump into Bob Costas and I talk with him for half an hour. Like I can't give myself credit for that.
Yeah.
I can't give myself credit for, you try to do the right thing and put yourself out there, but I believe that God like guides that. When I say I'm a positive person, I seek to help, I'm honest, I want to build relationships with student athletes and coaches and whatnot.
Yeah.
I do everything I can to build that, but I believe God follows that path and goes to your heart, goes to your head and says, hey, you've had 14 people in the media twist your words. Give Dan a chance. And I can't make your heart be open.
Yeah.
I can only be me, but I feel like he helps to kind of unlock that, right? I mean, you and I aren't sitting here talking if we don't believe in God, we don't work hard. We're not, you're not the person that you are today. I'm not the person I am today. And I feel like God keeps people together. I told you when you were in high school, I don't care where you go to school, I'm going to follow you.
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to be there. But it takes two. And when I call, you answer.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here today and you have a lot of accolades, but to me, you're still Mike.
Yeah.
You're still that kid, before the dreads with the short hair, just stay, being there, standing in front of a camera with me at CNS, just talking.
Yeah.
And I think that to me, when you put that work in, you put that effort and enthusiasm in, it would be easy to take the credit, but I can say, this is what I did to work hard and I can take credit for my work, but I can't take credit for every door that opened, because you can work hard as heck, but doors still need to open. And, there's doors that are locked on the other side that I can't open on this side.
Yeah.
And God opened. I mean, there's crazy stories about, I love Marvel, love Spider-Man. And and I've said it years ago, I said, I want to make a Spider-Man movie. I want to make a Marvel movie. I want to be a part of one. I want to screenwrite it, direct it, produce it. I want to be involved. And one interview, like with you, one interview from one person in Central and Upstate New York led to another person, to another person, to another person that led me to the head of Marvel Entertainment.
Wow.
And that happened from interviewing Alyssa DeMillo at Liverpool High School. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you think about, there's no way that happens without God.
Yeah.
There's no way that an interview in Upstate New York turns into Marvel.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do it for that. I did it because I wanted to support local athletes like yourself. So, I think there's a lot to be said by directing your paths. So let's get into that. You're in the huddle. They're drawing up a play. You're going to run the ball. You have to have talent, vision. You have to have things that God gave you, right, to hone your skills. How quickly does the game move when they hand you the ball and the offensive line starts to shift? How fast do you have to see it and go? Like, bring us into how you experience time when you're running the football.
So when I was so my first year was completely different. I kind of seen things a little later than what I do now, and it was all based off experience. Now, like you said, we're in a huddle, and I get a play. The reason why they put me in there is because I can make those split decision, quick decision moves. And it's not something that they've seen just now. It's something that they've been seeing. Like I said, something I work towards for them to see in the off season. So it's big to be put in a situation like that, because you see that the team is depending on you. And you see, you work towards that, the whole off season. So it's not like it's anything new. You know what I mean? So when it comes to making those split decision moves, it's something that you worked on already. Kind of like Kobe Bryant said, I wasn't taking those shots to be, to be any type of way, to be a ball hog. Is those shots, the shots that he took and he may have missed, the shots that he practiced 1,000 times. And, it's the same thing with me. Like, those are moves I practiced 1,000 times. Like, I put myself in that situation 1,000 times to know, like, when I get put in a situation like that in the game, it's not going to be anything new that I'm doing.
Has the game slowed down?
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
So
completely.
So when you get handed the ball, like, do you essentially see people like moving like this? I mean, like how do you, because I mean, the thing is, everybody's a Monday morning quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody's going to talk about what they would do and what they saw, whatever, from their seat or their television, whatever. So you're on the field. so few people in the world, such a tiny percentage of mankind will ever play running back.
Yeah.
So I want to hear it through your vision. Like, bring me into how you like that's the slowing down of the game, how you experience it, because everybody's going to look at it and say, Mike should have went here, and why didn't he see that? So bring me into it.
So the next step from, and this is like advice to everybody, the next step, if you're a running back, or if you're even a wide receiver, just any position, the next step to up your game level is knowing first of all, knowing your opponent, and then watching film. Not only watching film, once you watch film, you'll be able to, read your defense. Yeah. So a key part of my game is being able to read the defense, being able to know what front, the D line is in.
Right.
But most importantly, the next step for a running back to excel is knowing the play and knowing how it's blocked. I can admit my first year, I was used to just getting the ball and taking off full speed, because that's all I did in high school. But coming to college, everybody's as fast as you.
So you got humbled.
Yeah. So it may not be, faster than you straight line speed, but, laterally they're quick, so being able to read blocks, read your keys, understand how you run inside zone, and understand how, where the double team is going to be, and anticipating that double team. And if the double team, that's how the game becomes slower, when you know how everything is blocked, when you know the play from what your center is doing all the way to what your tackle is doing, all the way to what your tight end is doing.
Yeah.
All the way to where your wide receiver is going on a crack block. Understanding all that, well, that's how you get a bunch of yards. That's how you get 5 yards a carry. That's how you get 4 yards a carry. That's how the 5 yards turn into 18 yards. 18 yards turn into a 60-yard run. So that's been a real key to my game, and how the game has slowed down, just because of me knowing how everything is blocked.
Well, like you said, I mean, you have to know your play, but then you have to know how they respond to your play.
Yeah.
How that individual team has responded to something like that. Have you ever caught yourself in film going up against a team that you can't really compare to what you guys are running, and so you're there's like a little area, like a gray area of, okay, I haven't really seen film on them against this play or how we run our offense, and so I kind of have to make my best hypothesis on how to run?
Yeah, so when it came to watching film, I know it was just one team, Eastern Michigan. We had played against them, and it was this player. He was a good linebacker, like he was like a ball hawk. Like,
yeah,
when a ball snap, he's making that tackle. So what I did was I made sure I pinpointed him every play, whether it was a pass play or a run play. If it was a run play, I'll make sure I avoid him.
Yeah.
And, doing that, I was able to get about 4 yards a carry. And it's really just, like I said, is knowing your opponent, being able to watch film, know which player is overly aggressive. So when they come down to make a tackle and they're overly aggressive, you can either cut back, run them over. It depends on, who you are as a back. But me, is just knowing my opponent. Like I said, the Eastern Michigan dude, linebacker, he was overly aggressive and he made a bunch of tackles. But, after watching film on him, it was more so like avoiding him.
Yeah.
And once I avoid him, or once I was patient enough to let my double team get to him on certain plays, that's when I was able to get those yards. You needed to get a first down or needed to get 5 yards.
Do you like getting hit?
No, I don't. Sometimes, but I can admit, sometimes I just need that one play for me to get hit, for me to get going. And
yeah,
I feel like that's the special thing about being a running back. Like I said, everybody's different, but me as a running back, sometimes I just need that one hit just to wake me up, just for me to get going. Just so I could, start, doing what I do on the field.
So in 2021, you're out there for Buffalo. Your first ever touchdown in college against Bowling Green.
Yeah.
14-yard.
Yeah.
Bring me into getting to pay dirt. I call it glory territory. So what did it feel like to get your first sniff of glory territory as a college player?
It felt great. It felt amazing, honestly. It was like, it was my first touchdown as a D1 athlete, something I dreamed of, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I said, this has been something that I've dreamed of since I was 6 years old. So being able to get on the field and and be put in a game. Actually, we were down that game and nobody scored at all. So it was, I think we were getting blown out. We ended up coming back, but I believe it was the second or third quarter. It was about 21-0 or something like that. And, you know, I had got put in the game and it was outside zone play, outside zone to the right. I ran it and everything just seemed to open up.
Yeah.
So I took what they gave me and I, you know, ended up getting a touchdown. And, you know, all I could do is, you can see my post on Instagram, you know, what I believe I put, no man can shut what God has opened. I believe I put something like that. And
I mean, I think that might even be I think it's in the Bible that, you know, whatever door is opened by God, no man can shut. Whatever door is closed by God, no man can open.
Yeah.
So we go to your season last season, 2022. You lead the team in rushing yards at 625. You lead the team in touchdowns with 7. You play in all 13 games, including the bowl game, and you start 2 of those games.
Yeah.
So bring me into last season. I mean, because you had 132 yards your first season playing in 2021, where you only appeared in 3 games. So you got to, like I said, redshirt this past season, redshirt freshman in 2022. From going to just wanting to get out there and wanting to get an opportunity, dreaming about it since you were 6, to leading the entire backfield at UB in touchdowns and rushing yards, playing in every game and starting. I mean, that was a massive jump from 2021 to 2022.
Yeah. It was something that I worked towards. You know, I put the work in so I could, you know, what you put in is what you get. You know, and that's a prime example. It's not to pat myself on the back, but it's to speak realistically.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know, all that couldn't have been done without God. You know, he led the way and all I did was work towards it. And didn't block those blessings. But being able to, you know, get that experience now, I know how the game feels and I know it, you know, it feels better. You know what I mean? Like I said, that experience means a lot. People think experience doesn't mean anything. Like looking back, it does, you know, because now I see the game slower. Now I'm more patient. Now, you know, when I'm put in a situation where I may need to be put in a game for a specific play, I'm not panicking.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, and like I said, winning the bowl game, you know, 23-21 in Montgomery, Alabama against Georgia Southern. I mean, they're playing almost a home game, right? Being down in Alabama and they're in Georgia. So bring me into that. It was 2 days after Christmas on December 27th. Your team wins the Camellia Bowl.
Yeah.
Just what it was like for you to play in a bowl game, play in the postseason. Like, you got 3 years left, and I'm going, you did this already. You did. I mean, like, there's so many awesome things to build on, and obviously you stay humble in it. But, you know, you've gotten to experience the postseason and a bowl game, and people talk about if it's not the college football playoff, who cares? If it's not a New Year's Six, who cares? I don't believe in that. What would you say? Like, when you get to play in a bowl game and it's the Camellia Bowl or whatever bowl, for you, does the postseason, no matter what bowl it is, does it hold value to you?
It holds a lot of value. And I mean, you know, the people who saying that it doesn't, you know, they want to understand until they're put in that situation.
Yeah.
You know, they want to understand until they're living out their dreams, you know what I mean? And they're playing for, you know, something that holds weight, you know, in that championship game, it held weight. And it was a very special moment. Not only for the team, but for me personally, because it was my first ever champion. Like, no, it's not a MAC championship or it's not the big championship of the conference, but it's still considered a championship. And it was my first ever championship won at the, you know, D1 collegiate level.
Yeah. You know, and the team goes from 4-8 to 7-6.
Yeah.
Why did the Bulls make that jump last season?
It was a huge switch around in the attitude of the team.
Okay.
We knew this season before that we didn't go to a bowl game. We knew the season before that we also didn't, you know, go, you know, win the MAC championship, but, you know, at least we made it to a bowl championship, you know, last season. But it like I said, it was more so of an attitude change. You know, we knew that we needed to win a few more games just to get bowl eligible, and that's what we did. We made it our business to do that.
Why did the attitude change? Like, what happened? I mean, you said the difference between 4-8 and a bowl season, winning a bowl game 7-6, 2021 to 2022 was an attitude change, but how did it happen?
nobody wanted to get to have the season end early. We knew what, the bowl, like the bowl championship, it is a championship and it is a game, but the stuff that comes with that is actually fun. Like you get to see different things you never seen before. I never been to Alabama before, so I went to a state that I never been to before.
What'd you get to do? Because I know that like every bowl tries to like give certain things to the players, try to like create certain events. So let's paint that picture of the stuff that people don't get to see.
So we were in Alabama, and we went to see Rosa Parks. We went to the museum in which it was an African American museum. We didn't go to the bridge, which was sad because we didn't have enough time. But those were like the top two things that we did. And we had people explain to us, what happened and how it happened. It was just a top experience, one of my best experiences. Like I said, because I've never been to Alabama before.
So for you, it was the history, it was your heritage, it was, that feeling the land, the maybe the air of knowing that something happened there that was so incredibly important to where we are today.
Yeah.
So for you, I mean, when you experience that off the field, does it make everything on the field seem so much lighter when you're going to places and you're learning about things that people literally put their lives on the line in the hopes of, we talk about God all the time. And I tell people this whenever I need to, God gave freedom to all. Mankind took freedom from some. So knowing that freedom comes from God and it should never have been taken away, when you experienced all of that, did it just make football feel lighter, different? Just, hey, yes, I'm fighting on the field and I'm trying to win these games, but these people that I'm learning about, they were trying to literally make people feel safe every day. Not safe from a block, but safe all the time.
I feel like it's just, going back and thinking about, how I felt. I felt like it made me feel not proud of myself, but proud of the people who, wear the same skin as me, who share the same skin color. Everything that they went through, and everything that they, prospered through. Being able to see that and be able to see where we are now, it feels great. It feels great.
Are you proud of the skin you're in?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no hesitation. Yes.
So for you, I mean, and to have that pride, and I asked that question because, different things happening over these last few years. I had a conversation with my good friend Rick Etienne, and he told me, and he cried when he said this. He said it took a long time for him to love the skin he was in because of outside voices. So, I mean, have you always loved the skin you're in, or did you have to kind of feel the unfortunate adversity of how society is and then kind of say, you know what, I love the way God made me?
I always loved the skin I was in. I always loved the way God made me. There was a point where I didn't understand why, just because of the skin I was in, why it brought so much adversity, why it came with so much baggage, for a reason. Now I'm able to use it as motivation. Use it as a strength rather than a weakness. And it's actually something that pushes me.
So when you say, like you said, you had to go through that adversity, how do you handle that? Because, I humble myself in the world of, I surround myself with people that are like me, different from me, different languages, different backgrounds, different religions, different color, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, good people are good people. And so when I'm going through something in life and I'm saying, I was totally nice to this person, I treated them with respect. How did they 1 year treat me good and the next year, they ignore me and treat me with disrespect? And then I humble myself and take a step backward and I'm like, you know what? If I was African-American, there's a chance that people would not like me just when I walked in the room without even saying a word. Like, I'm trying to figure out, I have a great relationship, how to go sour. you could walk into a room. I mean, Rob Drummond, one of my good friends, had played for Syracuse, and obviously JD before that. And, he said to me, he's like, I still walk down the street and watch people go to the other side of the street. And so, I mean, to him, it's nothing. I guess what I'm saying is I try to figure out, what did I say? What did I do to make somebody change their mind?
Yeah.
And in your case, in our unfortunate society, sometimes you don't say or do anything. You just literally walk into a room and someone goes, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't rip your skin off.
Yeah.
And I feel like it should be a humbler to everyone that, sometimes we don't say or do anything, but in your case, I mean, you don't even have the opportunity to say or do something.
Yeah.
And someone might say, I don't like Mike Washington because he doesn't look like me.
Yeah.
How do you handle that adversity in your life?
So before, I really used to care about what other people had to say. I used to care a lot, and I still do to some extent.
Yeah.
But it's just learning. Like, I've learned personally to just let a lot of stuff go. Like, I'm not going to dwell on the fact that, somebody doesn't like me, or you don't like me because of the skin I am, or what you think I may do or be. Like, I seen this lady the other day, and she had a smile on her face. It was an old lady, real old lady, and she was waiting at a bus stop. And it was hot outside. It was like real hot outside. She had her little bucket hat on. She was just sitting there smiling, cheesing. And it was just, I was looking like, what is she so happy about? Just trying to wonder, like, I was like, this is something that I looked at, was like, maybe I need to be like that. You know what I mean? And that's how I just look at it. Like, she probably looks at life like, yeah, she's old, but she's chilling right now. She's happy.
She's alive.
She's alive. She has no worry in the world. And that's the terms that I've came to. Like, I shouldn't have a worry in the world right now. I should be happy. If she could sit there and be happy, and while being old and all that, like, some people aren't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if she could sit there and be old and like be outside, enjoy the sunshine and enjoy life, like, I could do the same thing.
Well, I mean, it's great that you say that, because my mom's mom, I call her G Mama, and she's up in heaven now. And she lived to be just shy of 101.
Okay.
And G and I were sitting at the table one day, and I said to her, I was like, Grandma, you read the newspaper every day, you watch the news. There's so much like negativity, there's bad news. Like, I see so many people let it weigh them down. I was like, why don't you let this stuff bother you? I was like, there's a rape, there's a murder, there's another murder, there's a fire, there's it. I was like, how do you not let it bother you? And she looked at me. I was like, why are you so happy? And going off what you said about that lady, she looked at me and she goes, what's the alternative? And so anytime I want to, let the world, but when the world bothers me, when what people say and do and things, and I feel that anxiety and that stress, I always think of my grandmother going, just putting her newspaper to the side and going, what's the alternative of being happy? Like, I don't even know that. Like, she was basically saying to me, like, I'm not even familiar with that other side. Like, I only choose to be happy. And I think she got to 100 plus because of that. My other grandmother, bless her, call her Gammy, she's also up in heaven. They were 13 years apart. 13 years apart. My other grandmother was younger. So my grandmother, that's 13 years older than her, lives to be almost 101. My other grandmother lives to be 87. Negative, let the world bother her, constantly anxious, constantly depressed. Positive, happy, smiled, made the most of the day. So when people say to you, and it broke my heart to see my other grandmother like that. But when people say to you, like, your mindset and how you treat yourself and how you think and what you put your energy into, look at that. My grandmother, that's 13 years older, lives 13 plus years longer than my grandmother, who was constantly negative. So positivity really did create longevity. One of them had Alzheimer's, one had dementia, and even though they would forget things, here's my G Mama being positive, and her life was longer. And I think it had a lot to do with how she saw her life. I think the more positive you are, the better shot you have of sticking around a little bit longer, and we were always trying to get my other grandmother to be positive, and it breaks your heart, because you look at that and you say, like, if you're negative on Monday and you're negative on Tuesday and you're negative Wednesday, eventually you turn around and you've been negative for 13 years.
Yeah.
You've been negative for 20 years, and you can't get that time back.
Yeah.
Like, why am I positive right now? Like, I look at this world, there's things that I could sit here and complain about. What am I positive about? Honestly, Mike, sitting with you. The fact that you've let me be a part of this. I hope your ears ring all the time because I talk about you all the time. I'm always talking about you. I'm talking about what you've done. I bang the drum for Central and Upstate New York athletes of any sport and, or anybody that has any aspiration or creativity. And I'm constantly saying, if Central New York and Upstate New York isn't good, what about this guy? What about this girl? What about this? And I always mention your name. I always say Mike Washington Jr. And I tell people they could be in Texas. And I'm like, we got talent up in Central New York. Oh, really? Yeah, Mike Washington. So to me, it's like, I just told your story recently of when a coach called me in your recruitment. And he said to me, he goes, is there something wrong with him? And I was like, no. I was like, why? And he said, well, the school down the street's not recruiting him. And I said, okay. And he said, well, I would think if the school down the street's not recruiting him, they're in the same neighborhood. They must know something about him that we're not seeing. And I said, that's a them problem, not a him problem. And I said, I'm going to tell you this right now. And this is what makes me sad because I was concerned that this could be true. I said, that school doesn't know how to recruit locally and they don't care. But that says nothing about, and I got emotional on the phone. I said, I know nothing bad about Mike's character, about the way he does. I've never heard a bad word about the kid. I said, please do not let the fact that someone's ignorance and stupidity would affect you from giving him an offer. And that was one of the schools that had offered you.
Oh, wow.
And I told him, no, and I think that I can't take credit. I think they had already done it, but they had already offered you. But the coach, we were talking and I said, listen, I said, you need to go after this kid and everybody does. I said, the decision of him not getting recruited locally says nothing about Mike and everything about that school. And you've proven that, and I guess to go to that point, do you ever reflect on that and feel bad or some kind of way that the school that was 10 minutes from you never handed you an offer?
I think about it, but the position that I'm in now, I feel like it's nothing. Like everything, I feel like everything that I've came to, everything that I've done has been all because of God, So if God didn't want that to happen, then he didn't want that to happen. If it wasn't meant for me, it wasn't meant for me. And I'm cool with that. I can't be mad at that because, like you said, you can name everything that I've done the past 3 years, and that's all because of God, and it's all because of his work and his work that he's done with me. So I feel like on my part to say, dang, I wish they could have offered me so I could have went there, it defeats the whole purpose of everything that I've accomplished. And it's kind of like taking a shot at God, like, okay, God has given me all these things, but I really want to go here and really want to do this. Or he's putting everything in front of me like, okay, but you have this.
Yeah.
I'm being bashful, and I'd rather not be bashful. I'd rather just be thankful and grateful for the position that he's put me in.
Well, he says, I have plans for you to prosper you, right?
Yeah.
And if it's meant for you, you're going to have it.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why that didn't happen, like you said. And I feel like when I look at what you've done, and which I'm not surprised, but it's funny because, I've blocked people on social media before because they got mad that I was defending Central and Upstate New York. And I said, you realize that I'm going to love these kids no matter what you say.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not going to have a 2-hour conversation. I was like, you're fighting with me because I want the best for my community.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe I should run for mayor. I don't know what I'm doing wrong if I love this place and I love the people. And, I said, you, Latavius Murray, Tyler Rouse, Servassier Dennis, John Phillips, Stevie Scott, Tyler Days. The list goes on and on and on and on of guys, when you talk about Division I, but then you could turn around and talk about D2. You could talk about D3. You could talk about the success that's come all over the place. And, you're one of those guys that's going to, for men and women growing up in our community right now, you're one of those beacons of hope and beacons of light. And I really hope that you come back here and you talk to the youth and you talk to adults and you talk to people in the community, because there's people that are 50 years old and that are 6 years old that need to hear a Mike Washington say, hey, if you're coming from this community and you're told you can't, I want you to know you can. And they're going to say, why, Mike? And you're going to say, because I did. Like, I really hope you feel that when you're out there on the field and when you're in the classroom. I hope that you feel the pride that we have in you. And I hope that you feel like that fight to not just open a door for yourself, but to show someone coming after you that they can make it from Central and Upstate New York, from the state of New York. You know, because you, dude, I'm so proud of you. Like, honestly.
Thank you.
I mean, you can I look at these numbers and I'm like, okay, this year I want 1,000 yards, my 18 touchdowns. And so, like, you know, looking at all this stuff, wanting to see you excel, and obviously in the class. So how are you doing in the classroom? Because that's important to me.
Yeah, I'm doing good in the classroom. This is my junior year coming up in the classroom. So I'm a sophomore on the field, junior in the classroom. Planning to graduate not this season, but next season, by the end of next season. So, but in the classroom, I'm doing good.
So you got 3 more seasons, which means, like you said, you were going to work on getting your master's after.
Yeah.
So do you know what you want to do? Because it's nutrition science, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I could go in really any field, but, you know, as of now, I really want to focus on, you know, the public health side of things, and, you know, what I could do with that. You know, I could go into the field of physical therapy. I go into the field of just working with athletes. And that's my thing. I just want to work with athletes. I want to be surrounded by athletes, surrounded by what they do, because, you know, that's been me all my life. So
got to be Pete Moore 2.0.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention Pete because we love Pete. So Pete's good stuff. It's going to be Mike Washington. You do your thing, but, you know, Pete, got to show him some love as well.
Yes, sir.
92-yard run, second longest run in University of Buffalo history.
Yes,
you did it against Bowling Green. Bring me into that run, because you said if you do the right things and you study your opponent and you understand them, 5 yards can become 18, 18 can become 20, and so on and so forth. You had a 92. You almost ran the entire length of the field.
Yeah.
Bring me into that run.
So they were in the 3-man front. So 3-man front is the center. The center has a 0 nose in front of him, and then everybody else is spaced out. That's the best way to explain it. I don't want to get into the techniques and all that. So in my case, I feel like running against a 3-man front is kind of easier. That's me. Everybody's different. So I just run my blocks. You know, we ran a simple inside zone play. I followed my blocks, followed the double team, and it literally hit right up the middle. And the last person I would run was the safety, and I ended up outrunning him and ended up getting a 92-yarder.
So we step toward this season. First game 2023 at Wisconsin.
Yes, sir.
Bring me into your thoughts on Big Ten, Maction colliding, and your excitement for that game. Because I know you got some cool games. You got Liberty coming up at home too.
Yeah.
So just, you know, that first game at Wisconsin. And I know the coach speak is you can only talk about the game in front of you.
Yeah.
And guess what? So we could talk about Wisconsin because it's the next game.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
It's an opportunity really to show the world, you know, who Mike Washington is.
Yeah.
Show the world, you know, what they have in store as a, you know, a young athlete, young running back. And it's an opportunity to show the world what, you know, Buffalo can do.
And for you, when we look at the MAC, I mean, you guys, you know, we call it Maction. I've spoken numerous years in my Commissioner Corner series that goes around the country with leaders in collegiate athletics. So I've had Dr. John Steinbrecher on recently, and he's been on a bunch of different years here. So the MAC will play on Tuesday, play on Wednesday, play any day of the week. Like, we know, and there's weeks where, you know, between pro football and college football, you come off a Monday night, the MAC's playing Tuesday, Wednesday, you got Thursday night football, then you got teams playing in college on Friday, and then you got teams on Saturday, and you're back to Sunday with football and all that. So the MAC, the MAC is honestly the bridge that gives us 7 days of football sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you like playing literally any day of the week?
I feel like it doesn't really matter to me. Sometimes it's classes getting away, but you know, it can honestly feel the same as a Saturday.
Yeah.
And that's just based off our preparation. Our preparation has never changed. It's always the same.
So I mean, you look at the MAC, and we look at the teams that are in the MAC.
Mhm.
You guys still have the split divisions,
Yeah.
because a lot of conferences did away with it. So in the East, where you are, we have Akron, Bowling Green, Kent State, Miami of Ohio, and then the Buffalo Bulls.
Yeah.
In the West, you have Ball State, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Toledo, and Northern Illinois. How would you define what it's like to play in the MAC? What's it like to face the teams that you face? Because this is one of the conferences in realignment insanity has literally stuck together better than most.
Mhm.
So how would you describe what the MAC is?
Every team is different. You're gonna be shocked at some of the stuff that they throw at you, whether it's on offense or defense, because it's not something that you may see in the SEC, the AAC, the ACC. You may not see the type of stuff that you get thrown at, in the MAC. Every team is different, and a lot of stuff you just have to prepare for.
So you said we're talking about wanting more from Lake Washington and the game at Wisconsin. You can put out who you really are to like a national, international stage.
Yes.
What do you expect out of yourself in the classroom and on the field this year?
In the classroom, I expect all A's. I'm shooting for above a 3.5. I'm finally in a semester where I'm taking everything that's towards my major. So I'm a public health major, so I'm taking all public health classes.
Yeah,
it should be honestly a piece of cake, because it's something that I like, something that I actually I want to do.
Right.
Aside from that, on the field, I just want to be able to have longevity throughout the season, being able to play every single game without getting injured, being able to play to my full potential, and then just being me, just being Mike Washington, playing the football that I've always been playing.
2 final questions, not long-winded ones. Is Mike Washington Jr. going to make the NFL?
Yes.
More importantly, is Dan Tortora going to get a Mike Washington jersey to hang in the studio?
Yeah. Yes.
So with that being said, Mike Washington Jr., CNS, as well as Utica alum here with me in the studio, Central and Upstate New York spotlight that we do all throughout the year on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a Buffalo Bull, has 3 seasons on the field and 2 more until he graduates off the field. A lot of great stuff coming up for the Buffalo Bulls. First game is at the Wisconsin Badgers, so make sure you're paying attention to that and keeping up with Mike all through the season, which is going to be hopefully very hard to do, to keep up with you. And of course, we'll have him here on Wake Up Call. Every blessing from God that we get to have him here. Mike, as always, thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
The future of the
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item, available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond. You can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. I want to thank my incredible guests. I hope you've had a wonderful week. I hope you've had wonderful, wonderful days. I want to thank my awesome guests today. Truly can't thank them enough. Chris Heidel, want to give him a special thanks, as well as Adam Lemerise for being here with me from HerbFM Sports Radio to talk on the ACC and the potential future of the ACC and college football realignment. Also want to give a big time thanks and a shout out to Mike Washington Jr. for joining me here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for many years, going through his time at CNS and his recruitment to choosing to go to Buffalo, to getting into the transfer portal, to coming out of the transfer portal and staying with UB to where we just sat and we're able to have this conversation here in 2023. So big time shout out to Mike Washington Jr. and all of his loved ones, of course, his siblings, his parents, and much love to all the supporters. Big time shout out to the University at Buffalo that actually recruits Central and Upstate New York. So thank you for doing that. And God bless Mike Washington Jr. Looking for big things from you, not only on the field, but in the classroom, more importantly. So thank you for our conversation, Mike, and for everything that you had to say about God, and for being unapologetic and unafraid to talk about God, which is a beautiful thing. So many thanks to Mike for that. A lot of great stuff here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We got some cool news coming up, but before that, you can find us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Live every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., including tomorrow morning, God willing, here. And, of course, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, once the shows go live, you could find us in the archives by hanging out with us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, as well as Podchaser and more. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure you do that today. A big time thanks to our incredible partners on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Carvel DeWitt, where we have our own Sunday that is connected to the wonderful Lemoyne Dolphins, and we have our own DT Dolphin Sunday. You could go out there and get the Sunday that's been inspired by the Dolphins of Lemoyne. It is our mint chocolate chip with hot fudge, whipped cream, a cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. You can only get it one place in the entire world, and that is on site, on location, at Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like, so make sure you go out and get it today. Big thanks to the Wildcat Sports Pub. We're going into our 8th year with the Wildcat, and I couldn't be more grateful to Danny Tome for seeing something in me and his vision and mission of everything that he does at the Wildcat to what we do at Wake Up Call, and for those joining together for more than half a decade right now. I really can't thank the Wildcat enough. I'm excited for what we have coming up. Really cool show that we're going to be doing on site on location, so stay tuned for that. Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the place, the snack capital that you need to go to when it comes to getting a snack for a game, getting a snack for a movie, getting a snack for a road trip, or when you're getting on a plane, whatever it may be. The snack place to get all those goodies is right over at Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory on 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Big time shout out to 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant, and you can find them right there at 317 Montgomery Street in downtown Syracuse. Make sure you head over there today. Their food is fantastic, and they just expanded the menu, which is really cool. Great Lakes Honda City, where I get all of my vehicles. Chick-fil-A Watertown, where I was at yesterday, and I got some incredible specials coming up with their team members at our North Country Spotlight, so stay tuned for those. Those air Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, so we got some great content coming up starting this Monday, August 7th, so stay tuned. A big time thanks to K9 Camp Dog Daycare, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, where we have Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, our segment that airs every Friday with a new topic at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, we have our segment, The Light Between Us, featuring the team members of Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. We got something new coming up very soon here. PB&J's Lunchbox, where I just went and had dinner with my mom. Awesome food, as always. The tacos were exquisite. Got the chicken tacos this time around for Taco Tuesday. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, big time thanks to them for taking care of Miss Lily. Mother's Cupboard, where I have my own sandwich, the Cuse McMother. You can go and get the Cuse McMother 7 days a week on 3709 James Street in Syracuse. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Get it today, get it tomorrow, get it this weekend. You can cut it up and eat it with syrup. You can pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Available exclusively at Mother's Cupboard, a staple of Central and Upstate New York. When it comes to knowing Syracuse, you got to know Mother's Cupboard. Pizza Man, where we do our Beeville specials all throughout the year. I mentioned the Wildcat, where we have our West Genesee specials. Tonight we'll be at Avicoli's for our Liverpool Warriors monthly special, this time featuring Liverpool football. Coach Joe Sindoni and his student athletes will be joining me, taking over the pizza side of Avicoli's, 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, within walking distance of Liverpool High School. We'll see you there tonight. And of course, I mentioned GG Cards and Breaks, and let me make a quick note here of the awesome people there.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks. Always have a great time over there. I was there this week. I was there, today's Thursday. I was there on Tuesday and had an awesome time, as always, at GG Cards and Breaks, and was able to go there and get their last 2021 Panini Prism Blaster box. I just released that box break on our outlets here, so you could see it on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, youtube.com/wakeupcalldT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT on our feed, and it's also going to be added to Twitter at CallDT, so make sure or X, whatever it's called now, so check that out. GG Cards and Breaks open 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5 on Sundays, and they have they have singles, they have graded cards, they have packs, of course, they have their mega boxes, their blaster boxes, and they have all of the teams in Major League Baseball, the NFL, and the NBA. They have an awesome soccer collection. GG Cards and Breaks literally has a little bit of everything, and it is a perfect place to either grow your hobby, build your hobby, start your hobby, or expand it. Same hobby, new memories happen at GG Cards and Breaks. Of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, airs every month, airs every single month, first and third Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, including this past Wednesday. You can go back and watch all of that content on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. The Dolphin Dive airs every second and fourth Wednesday, featuring student-athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni throughout the year with the Lemoyne College Dolphins. You can check out that content on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt as well. So make sure you do that. And on the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time is Dolphin time for these AD and DT and Dolphin Dive specials. If it's coming out of Lemoyne, it's coming through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora first. We are exclusive to the content in our multimedia marketing partnership all throughout the year, including the entire series into Division I. So make sure you check all of those out. You can go to LeMoyneDolphins.com for more information. And as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse bring you the Bobcat Buzz every single month exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our multimedia marketing partnership. Coming up tomorrow, I'll have the opportunity to feature live my conversation with Tay Baker, the head coach of the women's basketball team at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. Tay and I have the opportunity to speak on the upcoming season as well as the recruiting announcements he has made here very recently. So you definitely don't want to miss a second of that coming up this Friday, August 4th at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. All of our Bobcat content can be found by becoming a subscriber to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and by going to the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. I love all this music. The Alfred University Saxons come to you every single month on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Set it and keep it forever. Mondays, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. The Saxons join me on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. First and third Monday of each month, you'll get the presidential perspective like we had this past Monday with President Mark Zupan. We were talking about the Saxon Hill Complex and what's to come with student-athlete, student, and fan experience in the expansion of facilities at Alfred University. The Saxon Spotlight comes to you every second and fourth Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, featuring student-athletes, coaches, and administration. Some great stuff coming up here with the Saxons that you won't want to miss starting this coming Monday, August 7th at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. For more information, and you can subscribe to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt to get all of our content with the Saxons. Go to wakeupcalldt.com and bookmark the Alfred U tab. And for more information on your Saxons, go to gosaxons.com. And as the website tells you, go Saxons. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, once again, many thanks to Chris Heidel and Adam Lemerise for being a part of the show today from HerbFM Sports Radio. Big time thank you to Utica, New York native, CNS alum, and current running back for the next, God willing, 3 seasons as he gets set for his hopes to the NFL, Mike Washington Jr. of the University at Buffalo Bulls team inside of the MAC. Get ready for some action this season. They will kick off their season at Wisconsin of the Big Ten. Really great stuff coming up with Mike Washington, I pray and I hope for. And to all of our wonderful people in Central and Upstate New York and beyond, our second home of Florida, and so on and so forth. To all of you everywhere, praying that your dreams come true and that God always looks kindly on you, which I know he does. I hope you have a wonderful day. And starting this coming Thursday, which will be August 10th, Papa Joe will be back to his PJ takeover, and Papa Joe and I will more than likely spend an hour on baseball and an hour on football as he will take over the entire show starting this Thursday, August 10th. PJ Takeover is back as Papa Joe will join me for the rest of baseball season and all throughout college football and the NFL season in 2 hours of Wake Up Call. PJ takes over Thursdays starting this Thursday, August 10th. Very excited about that and very much looking forward to it. So can't wait to have that. Once again, big time thanks to Chris, to Adam, and to Mike. I'll talk with you all soon. I'll see you tonight at Avicoli's. Come out and support Liverpool. It's already football season, folks. We are doing the football kickoff broadcast exclusively with the Liverpool Warriors on site, on location at Avicoli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, right down the street from Liverpool High School. Tonight, August 3rd at 6 p.m. on the pizza side. We'll see you there. God bless.